Did you know there's more to lifting weights than lifting weight? There's form, technique, tempo, and even the mandatory mirror stare that builds ego way more than muscle. But seriously, you may have noticed how some people get bigger, some people get stronger, and some people get faster. It's not random, it's physiology. Click like and subscribe for more evidence-based fitness facts and exercise guidelines. Different types of resistance training create different adaptations. And the research, old and new, is very clear on the how and why these adaptations happen. The evidence goes way back to the 6th century to a guy named Milo of Croton, who had a very unique training stimulus. Quick quiz, did Milo train by lifting a sheep or a bull? Answer below and stick around to learn more about Milo and his tragic death. Hi, I'm Dr. Jake. Today I'm breaking down how your training style shapes your strength, size, and power using the latest evidence-based guidelines. You see, your body adapts to resistance training through a mix of mechanical tension, metabolic stress, and a small amount of muscle damage. But here's the nuance. The way you apply these stimuli, the load, the speed, the volume, determines the adaptation you get. Most resistance training emphasizes 3 pillars: progressive overload, specificity, and variation. No matter the goal, the proper application of these principles is critical to seeing your desired outcome. Let's start with strength that first comes from your nervous system long before your muscles adapt. When you lift heavy loads, your brain increases motor unit recruitment, their firing rate, and their firing synchronization. After a few weeks, once the nervous system is adapted, the repeated mechanical tension from heavy contractions begins triggering an increase in muscle protein synthesis. This leads to more contractile proteins to be added inside your muscle fibers, which not only enhances force production, but also contributes to visible increases in muscle size. Evidence-based guidelines show that beginners respond well to moderate loads of 60 to 70% of 1 RM, while trained individuals need heavier loading, typically 80 to 100% of max, to keep strength progressing. Longer rest periods of 2 to 3 minutes helps maintain force output, and free weight movements often generate greater strength carryover because they demand more coordination and stabilization than machines. Machines absolutely build strength, but they remove some of the coordination demands, so strength gains may be less. But as long as the exercise is challenging enough, even bodyweight movements like push-ups and lunges can develop significant increases in strength. Hypertrophy, actual muscle growth, is driven by a combination of mechanical tension, metabolic stress, and working close enough to failure that your muscles have no choice but to adapt. Modern research shows that muscle growth occurs across a wide loading range as long as you create enough effort. Heavier sets of 6 to 10 and even lighter sets of 15 to 30 work when taken to near failure. What matters more is that you accumulate 10 or more challenging sets per muscle per week, spread across 2 or 3 different sessions. Rest periods also play a significant role in hypertrophy programming. Unlike strength training where you want around 3 minutes of rest to recover force output, hypertrophy often uses shorter 1 to 2 minute rest periods. These shorter rest periods keep the muscle under tension across the workout and increase the metabolic stress, creating a stronger hypertrophic environment. The bottom line is that muscle growth is less about the equipment you use and more about hard sets, sufficient weekly volume, and rest periods that maintain tension without fully recovering the muscle. Machines, dumbbells, cables, and even body weight all work, as long as effort in the program structure is there. Let's now talk eccentric training, or the controlled lowering phase of a lift, which creates the highest mechanical tension on muscle fibers, which strongly stimulates hypertrophy and strength gains. Controlling the descent, whether in a squat or push-up, improves motor control, increases tendon and connective tissue resilience, and enhances overall muscle recruitment. You don't need anything fancy to use eccentric training. Just slow down the lowering phase. A simple 2 to 3 second descent on squats, presses, and rows instantly increases tension and improves control. For a little more challenge, you can try accentuated eccentrics, where the lowering phase is slightly heavier or more emphasized, like Nordic curls, tempo squats, or eccentric-only pull-ups. Because your muscles experience greater tension and damage on the way down, eccentrics are a great way to spark new strength and size gains without changing the whole program. Just use them on a few key lifts each week, and not every rep of every exercise. That'll stress your muscles more than necessary. But if you use them wisely, you'll gain benefits without excessive soreness. Before we move on to power, click like and subscribe. Thanks. Power is all about how quickly you can produce force, which means your nervous system needs a very different stimuli from traditional strength or hypertrophy work. This is where movements like Olympic lifts, plyometrics, kettlebell swings, and medicine ball throws come in. The goal is not just speed, but crisp execution and maximal intent on each rep. Explosive movements, even with moderate loads, significantly increase neural drive and force development. That explosive intent turns raw strength into usable power. Power exercises need to challenge you, but need to be done safely. For some lifters, this means starting with simpler options like kettlebell swings, medicine ball throws, and box jumps, before progressing to complex lifts like cleans and snatches. Power training works best when technique is sharp, the load is appropriate, and the movement is performed explosively with confidence. The National Strength and Conditioning Association emphasizes the following. Power improves most when the loads are light to moderate, say 60 to 30% of a 1 RM. Every rep should be performed with maximal explosive intent. Olympic lifts improve the rate of force development, and rest periods of 3 to 5 minutes are recommended to preserve power output. Remember that power training is extremely skill dependent. Full range of motion does more than make a lift look better. It literally changes how your body adapts. Training through the complete arc of safe movement tends to produce greater hypertrophy, especially in the lengthened position where muscles generate high tension. It also leads to balanced strength across joint angles, better mobility, and improved control. Just about every guideline emphasizes full range of motion as a reliable way to increase total muscle activation and long-term growth. But partial range of motion does have its place, like overloading sticking points, accommodating limited mobility, or helping advanced lifters at targeted volume. But it works best as a complement, not a replacement. So for the most part, be intentional about your range of motion because it trains the muscle through its strongest and most hypertrophy-friendly range. Let's now talk progressive overload. One of the oldest examples of how the body adapts to increased loads comes from ancient Greece. Milo of Croton reportedly carried a young calf around the courtyard every day. As the calf grew, Milo grew stronger until he could carry a full-grown bull. Legendary? Yes, literally. Milo is a real person, but his legend likely extends beyond reality. This includes the legend of his death. After getting his hands trapped in a split tree trunk, he couldn't escape and was eaten by wild animals. Regardless of what's legend, his training style was physiologically sound. Modern research on progressive loading not only supports Milo's increasing the load, but you can also increase volume or complexity to keep the adaptations coming and to avoid plateauing. Even a 2 to 10% load increase when you hit extra reps is enough to stimulate adaptations. Small, gradual increases over time beat random increases anytime. From recent studies, we have learned that training volume drives hypertrophy more than frequency, and the strength benefits more from frequency, partly because it's a skill. Now let's compare the three outcomes. For strength, low to moderate volume, 2 to 4 sessions per week, with heavy loads that focus on quality of reps. For hypertrophy, high volume training, 2 to 3 sessions per week, and spread the volume evenly using a moderate load and a wide rep range. And for power, low volume, 2 to 3 sessions per week, prioritize freshness and explosive reps with a moderate load. Strength, hypertrophy, and power each give you something different. And when you combine them, your benefits multiply. Strength builds the foundation, making you more stable and resilient. Hypertrophy adds muscle size, giving you more tissue to produce force. Power training teaches your body to move fast and efficiently, boosting athleticism and coordination. When you mix these training styles, you avoid plateaus and build a more complete, capable body. You don't just get strong, muscular, or explosive, you get all three working together, which makes every workout more efficient and every movement in life feel easier. And once you understand why blending different training styles creates better results, the next step is organizing them in a way that keeps you progressing over months. This is where periodization comes in. It's a simple way to plan your training so strength, size, and power keep improving instead of stalling. The American College of Sports Medicine emphasizes that varying the volume and intensity over time is one of the most effective ways to avoid plateaus and keep adaptations moving forward. Here are 3 common types of periodization. First, linear, where you start with higher rep, moderate load training, and gradually progress towards heavier, lower rep work. It's simple, predictable, and great for building a strong base. 2, reverse linear flips that approach. You begin with heavier, low volume work and gradually transition to higher rep, higher volume work. It's useful when building muscular endurance or improving conditioning. 3, undulating periodization changes the stimulus more frequently. You might train heavy one day, moderate later in the week, and higher rep the next. This model often produces superior strength gains because the consistent variation keeps the nervous system adapting. No matter the model, the idea is the same. Systematically change the training stress so your body adapts instead of getting comfortable. Now, you may have heard that doing a lot of endurance training at the same time as strength training can blunt strength or muscle gains. Well, it is true, but it happens most when cardio volume is high, workouts aren't spaced apart, or you lift in a fatigued state from previous cardio. For most people, it's easy to avoid by lifting first, spacing lifting and cardio by 6 hours or more, and keeping cardio moderate. So yes, weight training isn't just lifting weights. It's a powerful tool that reshapes your muscles, nervous system, and movement patterns depending on how you use it. Heavy lifting builds strength, moderate high volume builds size, fast lifts build power, and ultimately, like Milo, small, steady increases over time make you stronger than you ever thought possible. When it happens, send me those pictures of you carrying an ox. If you found this breakdown helpful, subscribe for more evidence-based exercise guides that make training science simple and applicable. Thanks for listening, and as always, my answers come from peer-reviewed research.